Hello, hello. Welcome to today's episode. Yes, today's podcast. Mm. I have been walking through a reclamation these last few weeks, and I realized that I have stopped using my voice doing what I absolutely love, which is this talking, riffing, connecting with beautiful and amazing people who are also breaking free from, perfection and performance and proving and patterns that are k- keeping us in an exhausted loop, trying to prove how amazing we are to be chosen, and it's robbing us of our time, our freedom, our energy, and it's robbing us of creativity and robbing us of so much more. Living a life in freedom, in flow, in ecstasy, and acceptance. Now, that last word I just shared, is a word that many, including myself, have a hard time doing. When is the last time that you took a good hard look at yourself in the mirror and accepted parts about yourself that maybe have been rejected, or perhaps maybe you've hated yourself? Well, I hate my voice. I don't like speaking. I don't like how my body looks. Look at that part. I mean, I got cellulite, I got fat, I got flab. I'm not toned in every area of my life. I don't look like a supermodel. And I don't like how I look. I'm not going to go, live on social media because I'm afraid to show my face. I'm afraid to share my voice, and I'm afraid I won't be chosen. And then we pick apart everything that we do. And underneath that is just a pile of shame and guilt and the burnout and the exhaustion. That's where I come in. I'm here to break the pattern, break the loops. And so, hearing the sound of my voice, what if you looked at yourself and accepted yourself as the way you are and already showed up as though you're chosen? What if you showed up to stop playing the part to be accepted and realize that you already are accepted? What if even parts about yourself that you don't like, maybe you're in that exhaustive burnout loop because maybe you've done things that you don't like and you're like, man, it's not even who I am anymore. And maybe that thing that was done in like 1985 or even 2015, maybe what if you gave yourself some grace and massive self compassion and realized, hey, I made a mistake. You know what? This is what happened. What if you found the lesson so that you can accept yourself and stop living in an exhaustive state to prove and perform how amazing you are? I've been walking through this reclamation lately, and I've had to make some tough choices for myself, but choices that felt good and powerful, choices that in the end, I know if I didn't make them, I would still be caught in that same loop. I realized that I have been finding patterns that I have been operating in for 15 years. Realized that I have been operating in a method and flow and pattern of living under everyone else's blueprints, not living in my own, wanting to do things my way. But there is a but. Compromising and forcing myself to fit in the patterns and boxes of other people. This included bosses. This included mentors and coaches. Now, I want to make something very clear. I am not blaming or bashing any coach or mentor that I have had. They're amazing in their craft. They're amazing at what they do, which is why I pay them or paid them, right? And also the realizations, the awarenesses, and the ahas that I've had isn't their doing, it's mine. But these ahas and revelations came because I'm at a place in my life where I was willing to heal them, face them, find out why this keeps surfacing. But now also realizing that I'm at a place in my life where I am able to say, face the music and deal with it head on and not hide from it. I'm able to heal. I grew up in foster care. I was born to parents that chose alcohol as their vice of living, as their way, their method of coping. And so I was placed in the foster care system by the time I was 1 years old because they chose a life that they that was their decision. However, their decision costed me a life of pain, costed me peace, costed me my childhood. But you know how they say there's a reason for everything? I don't really believe all those cliche statements. However, what I do believe is that that foster care journey that I had, even where I didn't even know I was biracial until I was 13 and still put myself in boxes to be accepted, comments like, well, you don't sound black. Well, I don't know what black is supposed to sound. Well, you sound white. Okay. Well, again, I don't know what any of that means, but okay. Or you don't sound like you're in foster care. Okay. Again, I don't know what any of that means, but okay, then, since I don't sound this way, I'm going to force myself to fit in a box to be accepted. I've gone through every hairstyle known to man to fit into the biracial, venturing off into black way of living, right? Which is the hairstyles. Now, hair is a beautiful thing. Hair is a woman's glory. Hair is also men who love their hair. Also, I'm speaking to you as well. Perhaps your hair is your glory too. Now, I'm primarily speaking to women in this case because, well, let's face it, here are some facts for all of you fact finders out there. And then you can go research the statistics on your own. I know that hair is the first thing that people touch, usually when they are going through a life, I don't want to say crisis, but like a life change, right? Powerful, pivotal change in their life. Hair is the first thing to be touched. Hair is also usually the last thing to be touched before they realize that hair, when you get your hair styled and colored and tailored to meet your growth journey, things change, confidence levels change, energy changes. You magnetize things differently. You show up differently. There's something that creates a powerful thing when a woman, even a man, sits in a chair, goes through the transformation process with the transformation agent, aka hairstylist. In fact, there's a hair person that I follow on Instagram. Think it's called Crew Cuts. Go watch it. It's Krewkutz. You can go look it up yourself, okay? Go watch what happens when these beautiful people. Now, I believe people travel to this guy. He's in the Caribbean, okay? So When they sit in their chair in his chair, there's a before, and they look very sad, but they look ready to embrace this new version. So then you see the after. Now, I've seen a lot of the videos, and a lot of the people that sit in his chair end up crying because it's powerful to watch the same person go through a shift. You can see they're exhausted. You can see they've tried everything. They don't know what to do anymore, but they're exhausted. They've been performing to play the part to look good, but they finally get to a place where it's like, I'm done. And then they burn out. They're exhausted. They're just done. They don't want to worry about their hair. Who has time to work on hair when you're exhausted, right? But the moment they see the transformation that he walks them through, and I think he even has a team of people there that does the makeup or something, because the same people that are sitting in the chair, it's like shocking to say the least, but not in a bad way. It's shocking because you don't, it's like it's the same person, but it's like, holy smokes, like what just happened there, right? I believe that's a part of a person's reclamation. Hair. So when we get to a place of being done with our old ways of doing things, of burning out, of performing, proving our way, of proving our worth to be chosen, of being picked, when we show up, when we're done showing up polished to the world, when we're done editing ourselves and muffling our voices to be chosen, when we're done polishing ourselves to look a certain way to even grow our business, which I'm going to say something that might ruffle some feathers, but that's okay. I'm here for it. I was born poking the sleeping bear when I when I came out of my mom's womb, okay? I'm a twin, and so she didn't know she was pregnant with twins, my birth mom. So I came out with a microphone. I have gotten in trouble a lot growing up using my voice, but I also spent all of my life until very recently, the last 6 years of going through intense healing, reclamation, life changes, transformation, transitions, all this other things, pivots, found myself, found my true self. And now I can show up unapologetically, unashamedly, speaking my truth and very boldly because it's not just me that it helps, it's you who's listening. There are people right now that are showing up in such a polished fashion to look professional so that people choose them for business because that is the messaging out there that says, well, if you just show up a certain way and if you sound a certain way, it's going to attract more people and 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 then you'll be richer, you'll be a lot farther. Okay. So that messaging, I've tried. I've attempted. I've edited. I've changed. I have shown up in every different format that I could think of. I've changed my words. I've even changed the way I post. I've changed how I sound. And each time I felt like a piece of me was dying. 1,000 deaths, that right? I am not like it's a horrible feeling to feel muffled, to feel like I had hands over my mouth, which I've had that happen growing up in foster care. There was horrific abuse that happened. Abused for speaking up, abused for speaking my truth, blamed by different foster parents for their abusive behavior. I don't even know how they got into foster care. They honestly should be in prison, the majority of foster parents. So I suffered at the hands of people who turned out to be predators, and I felt unsafe But I grew really great at performing for safety. I had to. Performing to be seen, performing number 1, I had to figure out every day how to keep myself safe in spaces that were supposed to keep me safe from other people, including peers that were my age. They were the most some of them were the worst bullies I have ever faced in my life. And then they wanna friend me on social media as if being an adult erases their evil behavior. It's like, "Oh, hell no." Like, block, right? As I heard from a mentor once, 4 words: bless, release, block, delete. That's it. Never again. And never again will I burn out to perform for anyone who has mistreated me ever in my life. They are gone, done. Forgiveness doesn't mean an access pass. It means I forgive you and I'm choosing to move on so that I don't keep myself hostage. And it's going to release me from feeling, letting the anger run the show. So, no, I don't burn out for that anymore. I don't perform for people anymore. And so when I see these names that come across and try to act as though they didn't cause harm, oh, oh, honey, I'm going to block you. And yeah, yeah. So walking through this reclamation though has caused me to make some tough decisions that don't probably sound weird, right? Probably are like, well, Tiffany, why did you do that? But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to move forward. The cost of staying in spaces, there is a cost of staying in any spaces that causes you to abandon yourself in any way, shape, or fashion. Now, I'm not going to sit here and blame the leader of any space. It's just a revelation. And it's like, oh, you know what? I am at a place in my life right now where I have to choose myself, my health, priority, number 1, numero uno. Creating a life of simplicity, letting go of burnout, letting go of the exhaustion, letting go of the proving, the performing, the editing, glossing over my words, watering myself down. Who on earth suffers from that? I do. Who on earth benefits? No one. The only people that do benefit from when we water ourselves down and we edit, polished, and muffle ourselves, edit the way we're showing up, the only people that benefit are people that like people that suit their likes. But the moment, and this has happened to me, the moment that you discover who you truly are, and of course, going through healing, I have a therapist, right? Going through healing helps to discover who you are unapologetically and showing up unfiltered. Do you know who doesn't like that? The people who benefited from your silence, from your people pleasing tendencies. I was having a conversation with a couple friends, and I said, anyone can play the part in an interview chair. People people perform well in an interview chair for a job. And it isn't until people get into the job that you start realizing that these people really pulled the wool over the interviewer's eyeballs. It might look good on paper, but how do people act with other peers in a job environment? A job, a career is one place where people hide themselves, water themselves down, edit. I believe, and I use this as an example because many times people only go after a job for the money, for the pay, and the benefits, and that's it. They don't even look at how's the environment. They don't look at the red flags. They don't look at all that. And I share this also because it's an example of one place that we edit ourselves so well to be chosen. But then the masks come off and the real ugly selves come out. And then it's evident that, oh, perhaps we shouldn't have hired them. Perhaps I shouldn't have edited myself, right? Perhaps I shouldn't have played the part. Perhaps I should have paid attention to the red flags. But when we're in a people pleasing, comma, performance driven, comma, state, we end up turning into people that we just are not. We aren't ourselves. It is what I'm talking about today is the definition of building outfits, creating outfits that are too small, trying to fit in those small clothes, those clothes. Well, they don't fit, but if I just force this part, it's going to fit. Okay, but you're still going to be feeling uncomfortable. There's going to be discomfort. There's going to be dis-ease. And your nervous system is going to be shot. It's going to be jacked up. Your nervous system is going to be off until you decide that performing is no longer a method that you are going to operate by. When you start walking through a reclamation, number one, you're going to need a community of people around you so that you don't burn out on your own, so you don't fizzle out. By the way, you go farther in a group than you do by yourself. This is where a lot of people miss the mark. Number two, how would it feel to show up anywhere in your life today without editing yourself, without polishing yourself, even on social media? What would that feel like? What would that feel like today if you stopped fitting in your job to be picked and chosen and loved and cherished by everyone? What would that feel like? Would that feel free? Stop agreeing with people, stop fitting in. A lot of people love to try to be part of the cool crowd, the in crowd, don't want to be left out. But what if you weren't part of the cool crowd, but you still magnetized people's eyes lighting up when you walked in the room, but you're not popular, right? You can be friendly without being friends with everyone. You can be kind. Oh, kind. That could probably be another whole podcast all in itself, but kindness stops the performance in its tracks. It stops the exhaustion and it stops the proving to be chosen. Kindness sets the tone. Kindness sets boundaries. Kind is key. Kindness doesn't tolerate disrespect. Kindness doesn't magnetize drama. Kindness happily tells people in a kind manner, don't bring me names in a conversation because I don't gossip. Don't bring me gossip. By the way, that sets the tone. By the way, it commands respect. Kindness, so does being direct. It also gets us to stop performing and staying in an exhaustion loop to prove how capable and amazing we are. And I'm sharing some examples today because what would it feel like today if you were kinder to people so that you could protect your peace and your energy? What about being kind to friends, right? Kind to coworkers, right? You'll get a lot of opportunities to do what I'm talking about today, but it really starts with you. It starts with a decision to say enough is enough. It starts with that decision of saying, I'm done proving, I'm done performing. And today, I celebrate you for taking time for yourself to listen to this, the whole thing through. I'm going to start closing with this. I am in a reclamation, as I've shared, but this reclamation includes me taking time off from trying to build a business that mirrored, that was led under other people's blueprints. And this is what it looked like. So for the last 15 years, I have been in that performance loop. I didn't realize it until 6 years ago. And that's when I intentionally started my journey to break free. 15 years of the same patterns of going after the same thing to prove I could be chosen, to edit myself, polish myself. I copied other, well-known business people. I copied to a T, to a science. Do what you're told. So I would do what I was told for fear of not being picked, fear of not being chosen. I did what I was told. I performed, but I also performed that way because that's how I was trained to show up in my life. I was trained that if I didn't perform, then I get consequences. And then I get beaten or I get abused or bullied. And so that was my life. So, of course, I lived the lifestyle. Excuse the noise you're hearing at this moment. Of course, 15 years in that pattern, 15 years is a long time, wouldn't you say? I'd say it is for me too. So I have been living under doing things exactly the same way, but for the blueprints of growing a business. 15 years ago, when I signed up with my first business ever, I didn't know what I know now. And this is something I would talk about with my younger self. I would say the exact same thing to my younger self today. Like, hey, you don't have to do that to yourself. It's okay to say no. Say no, girl. Walk away. It's going to being in that place is going to drag you down into the pit. You're going to go circling in a pit. You're going to stay there for a while. You don't want to do that. Don't go in that business direction. Go in this direction instead. But what I learned then helped me to get to here. So lately I've been realizing that I have been under other people's blueprints. And it doesn't feel good because when I go to try to do things my way and implement the things I'm learning, I have been seemingly argued with and talked out of doing the things that I love doing, the way that I'm wired. So I've been doing things the way that I'm been getting taught. This is for the last 15 years. And there's like, I'm like, okay, what the heck is going on? Why am I not where I've seen myself? I mean, you know, if if money is the thing that I'm supposed to be getting, why aren't I raking in all the dollars, right? All these things I've tried, they just didn't feel good. It's because I was putting on the wrong clothes, the wrong outfits, building wrong blueprints for my own self. I'm a voice speaker, voice led, everything I do. I even use the microphone button on my phone to speak into text messages, to speak into my social media, to speak into a Marco Polo app. Yes, my voice. And it's the one thing that I feared the most. And so now I stopped going in the direction of building a business in the wrong clothes, in the wrong way of doing things, because it wasn't right for me. It didn't work for me. However, I have been given the tools that's necessary. That is what I can use, the tools to implement. But finding my flow unapologetically, unashamedly, without explanation, without defending, it is a beautiful place to be because I've stopped performing and I've stopped living in exhaustion to play the part, to be accepted and to be chosen. And I stand before you today because I am standing in my kitchen as I'm talking to you. And I can honestly say that it feels really good to say that. But I couldn't say that 15 years ago. I couldn't tell you this 6 years ago. But now, the business I'm building, voice-led activation studio where people come in, it's a monthly membership, but it's not a membership, right? I'm building that behind the scenes, but right now, I took some time off so that I can shut off all the noise, shut off all the voices in my head, including past voices of people that robbed me of great experiences in my lifetime. Shut off the voices that aren't mine, the foster care adults, the social workers, the mean bullies that almost took me off the face of this planet a few times. The birth parents that didn't know um how to be the parents, the type of parents that I needed. The foster parents that were abusive, the teachers that were also abusive, the Sunday school people, the everyone. I've had to shut it all off, walk away, and say, I'm not going to continue right now. But here's what I am going to continue doing. Just like you heard the toaster just pop up with my toast. Surprise. Here's what I am going to do. I am going to continue to show up using my voice as the fire starter that I am. Poke the sleeping bear, stirring the pot, saying the thing with boldness and fire, and I'm a disruptor. I disrupt patterns. So that's who I'm gathering, are the people who are also ready to disrupt patterns or have already started and are just looking for a place to get support and just keep going. I mean, this world needs more people unapologetic and unashamed to show up. There's no shame, there's no guilt. And when you're ready to stop hiding, and when you're ready to stop putting the masks on and stop speaking in a way that is not yourself, I'm creating a space for you where you can come back home to yourself. But right now, this is my messaging to the world. And thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for choosing yourself. You chose yourself today. Celebrate yourself. I celebrate you. That concludes this episode. And go make it a great day.